Turner. I serve as the Director of Home Ownership with Maggie Walker Community Land Trust. And I will pass it to Flora.
Yeah, hi. My name is Flora Valdez de Pena. I am the communications coordinator for the Maggie Walker CLT. Um, and I handle our Zoom meetings, our events, and things like that, as well as our what's it called? Email, communications, social media, and our website as well. So nice to see you all here. One more time, just as a reminder, please keep your
Elizabeth, would you care to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Munyon. I'm the home purchasing coordinator with Maggie Walker. So I help prospective home buyers through the application process and then through the home buying transaction. Let's see. I'm having a hard time seeing who else is on the call.
Jen is here.
Okay.
Jen, would you care to introduce yourself as well? Can you come off mute?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jen Cox with Jen Cox Realty. I serve as the realtor with the Maggie Walker Community Land Trust. I help other realtors and prospective buyers with the real estate transaction process, and also assist with any questions that the realtor or the prospective buyer may have about our program.
Thank you so much, Jen. Okay, we want to honor your time tonight, so we will get started. I want to introduce you guys to a couple of resources, housing resources that would more than likely be helpful to you. Catholic Charities Credit Counseling. There's an email address and a phone number there. They will help you with budgeting. They'll help you learn a little bit more about your debt to income ratio. If you're here because you're interested in home ownership, but you know there are some things that maybe you want to work on, whether that's saving or getting rid of some debts or what have you, whatever your financial goals are, please reach out to Catholic Charities for assistance with that. And then we also have the housing resource line. So if you're here and you're in a housing crisis, this isn't the avenue for you, but we would love for you to stay and hear more about this. But we also advise you to reach out to the hotline for not just your housing crisis needs, but other resources that may be available to you while you're doing your home ownership search. Okay, just to share a little bit with you guys about what we are going to be working on tonight in our time together. So we will introduce you to a CLT, Community Land Trust. You'll hear a lot of acronyms tonight, but we will introduce you to a community land trust, how it works, how you can be eligible for that, and the benefits of home ownership. We'll also talk about ground lease, which makes home ownership through a CLT a little bit different than the traditional route. We'll talk more also about selling your MWCLT home, although I'm sure you wouldn't want to sell once you move in. And then we'll also talk a little bit more about how to apply, so that application process and what is needed. So we're going to do a poll. We're curious about who's in the room tonight, and we would love to hear from you. So you should have a poll that just popped up that asks a little bit more about you. So we'll give a second or two to answer that.
In the meantime, I think I saw a lender or two. Are any of our partner lenders on the call who would like to introduce themselves?
Hi, this is Mary White with Town Bank Mortgage. I have been working with Maggie Walker since Maggie Walker started. Love the program. Done, I'm not even sure now how many closings this year for buyers, and so excited about what Maggie Walker has to offer. It's great to be here with everybody.
Thank you, Mary. Anybody else? Any other lenders
Is
from our preferred
April?
lenders list?
I see April's name, but I'm not sure. That might be an error.
Okay. Any other lenders on the call tonight? Okay. All right. Well, Flora, what is our poll looking like? Thank you. So 86% of people here are interested in purchasing a home. We're happy to hear that. An interested citizen, that's awesome. And you're involved in affordable housing. Great. Welcome. We definitely welcome people that are in the housing industry so that you can hear a little bit more about community land trust and home ownership through community land trust. All right, let's keep moving. So, what excites you about home ownership? Feel free to come off mute or put your response in the chat. This is a no judgment zone, so feel free. What excites you about home ownership? Being the first in my family to purchase, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Congratulations, Miss Harvey. I'm about to close on my home. That's what excites me. Thank you. Having my own home and decorating. Absolutely. Great opportunity. Yes. Anybody else? Okay. Well, we know that, okay, purchasing my first home, mother of 4 sons. Thank you for sharing. Being able to know my money is being put towards something that is my own instead of renting. Holding the soul sign for me. All right, Tiffany. Thank you all for sharing. Leaving something for your grands. Absolutely. Leaving a legacy is a part of why the Community Land Trust is set up in the first place. Well, acknowledging that there are some things that excite us, there may also be some things that scare us or make us nervous or afraid. So what are some things about home ownership that may make you nervous or afraid? Congratulations, Ronald, on your engagement. What are some things that make you nervous or afraid or anxious? Utilities and upkeep. Thank you, Jordan. Anyone else? I know there's a lot tied into upkeep. Keeping up with the upkeep with having kids, absolutely. Responsible for home repairs. Thank you for your honesty. Okay, definitely keep those coming. We love to hear it so that we can help relieve some of your anxiety around home ownership, whether you're deciding to purchase through Maggie Walker or another organization, being able to afford it, making sure you have enough money to cover. Absolutely. Okay. Next slide, please. All right. So if you're from Richmond, hopefully you've heard of Maggie Lena Walker, our namesake. So we speak her name every time we have the opportunity to, specifically in these info sessions. We are honored not only to be named after Maggie Lena Walker, but to be in the city where Maggie Walker not only grew up, but founded the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank. Maggie Lena Walker was the first African-American woman to charter a bank in the United States and the first woman to serve as president of the bank. All of that right here in Richmond. So we know her financial background, but she was also an amazing businesswoman. She believed in entrepreneurship. She believed in economic mobility and stability. So our organization is named after her because our goal is to carry out what she started. She definitely paved the way for Black business owners and community leaders, And so This is an opportunity for us to help create a seat at the table that may have not been there at any other time as she did. So our organization is named after her. All right, so there are two key roles in the MWCLT. For tonight, we are going to focus on the permanently affordable home ownership side, but we do want to acknowledge that we do have a land bank, okay? And it's where we basically bank vacant properties that are provided to us for the benefit of the neighborhood, okay? In terms of the home ownership side, you're probably familiar more so with this side. And that's what we're going to focus on tonight, how we are able to keep our homes affordable, and even what does permanently affordable home ownership mean. We all are trying to afford wherever it is that we live. So we'll talk a little bit more about the affordable home ownership portion of what we do. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about community land trust. Chime in the chat if you've even ever heard of a community land trust. I'm curious. But just to give you a little bit of history around community land trust. Community land trust, the first one was entitled New Communities Incorporated. And it was a grassroots movement that evolved out of the civil rights movement. It was started by Black citizens who were sharecroppers and were kicked off of out of their homes and off the property when they were found to be voters. And they were kicked off by white landlords after they were found out to be voters. And so Black activists got together. They purchased a farm with the intent that they would farm the land, and everyone would have partial ownership of that land, okay? So I don't know if you guys knew about that, new concept. Thank you for sharing, Jordan. We're the land trust here in Richmond. There are several land trusts in the state and throughout the country, but we're very happy and excited to be Maggie Walker Community Land Trust right here in Richmond. The land trust is formed also to speak to gentrification, to speak to racial and economic inequity and environmental justice. So you'll see that as an undercurrent in all of our work. Next slide, please. Okay. So we acknowledge, and we've also mentioned, that the Community Land Trust is a nonprofit organization. It is a community-led organization that is designed to steward the land. So our primary use and our primary goal is that long-term housing affordability. We'll get into that right now. Okay. So what must be noted is that when you buy a home on the conventional market meaning if you go on any of the online websites where you can purchase a home or see homes, you are buying that home and you're buying the land underneath the home. With a CLT home, so a home in a community land trust, you're purchasing the house at a subsidized rate and the land remains in the trust. So you're leasing the land, but you are able to use it the same way as anyone else would. There are no differences in that regard. When it's time to sell your home, you only sell your house and the land is never sold, which is how we keep those prices down and keep it affordable. The next buyer will need to meet the income requirements and buys the home from you at an affordable price. That affordable price is based on the area median income. That person agrees to the same sort of resale structure when they sell, and that is how the home is sold from buyer to buyer as long as the home exists. The premise of this really is that it's a great opportunity to not only move towards home ownership, but if you all have noticed, prices are astronomical. Doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. This is an opportunity to get assistance to get into a house, but also to assist someone else. So this may not be your forever home. If it is your forever home, that's great. If not, that's great as well, because you're also giving the opportunity to someone else to purchase a home who may not otherwise be able to do so without a program like this. Next slide, please. Some of our values are really based on, as I mentioned before, racial equity, wealth generation, community control, collective decision-making, and long-term stewardship of both community and land. We like to, for our homeowners to be a part of community. So yes, you're purchasing a home and you are living your best life in that home. But what's different about our model is that you are also becoming a part of a community. All right, so the model balances the interests of the individual as well as the community. Next slide. So we'll talk a little bit more about the benefits of purchasing through a CLT. So CLTs benefit the homeowner in several ways. We'll just list some for you. They are some of the most affordable homes you'll find in the Richmond area. And again, by affordable, we mean that they are ready to move in, no fixer-uppers. I repeat, no fixer-uppers. That's a big deal because a lot of times houses or homes that are in the affordable range need some work, right? So all of our homes have been recently rehabbed or newly constructed. Let me explain what I mean by recently rehabbed. I literally mean they're stripped down and rebuilt, okay? So CLT homes also allow the homeowner to build wealth over time. And that's done through your monthly mortgage payment, and the home's increase in value of wages instead of the market, okay? Now, support and assistance for the homeowner, all of are also things that come along with building your pride and stability and the quality of the home. The other thing that makes this a little bit different, and you can go to the next slide, that makes this a little bit different also is that you have a team behind you. So you have someone that's working with you through the purchasing process. You also have someone that stays with you after you've purchased. So those little questions that you may have that on the conventional market, who do you go to? Because your relationship with your realtor, while you all still may be friendly, you can't necessarily go to that person about what's going on in the home. So we have a team that still stays with you after that. Okay, so the CLT model allows us to keep our neighborhoods diverse and vibrant, even as housing prices in Richmond continue to rise. Without a program like the MWCLT, homes in Richmond will continue to be unaffordable. And that's actually across the country. We know that. CLTs can also combat Black land loss and displacement, build community wealth, and strengthen community health and well-being. Having stable housing is one of the social determinants of health. So we recognize and understand that if you have stable housing, whether that's in a home or an apartment, it's going to increase your wellness. Okay. And those are tools also to reduce speculation and gentrification. So because of the MWCLT, a lot of our homeowners have been able to move into the neighborhoods of choice that they want, that they grew up in, and they were otherwise couldn't afford, right? So we're happy that our program allows that to happen. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the program eligibility. So you must be income qualified, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide, but you must be income qualified. You must agree to the terms of the ground lease. We'll talk about that as well. And again, the ground lease is what we discussed earlier. You're purchasing the home and you're leasing the ground. So we'll talk about the ground lease. That's what you must agree to. You must be approved for a pre-qualification for a minimum of $150,000 from one of our approved lenders. Our approved lenders are listed on our website. So please go to our website to see those lenders. Here's why. Many of you may bank at Truist or Bank of America or other banking centers. The approved lenders on our list have worked and closed contracts with a CLT home. It's a different situation, a different scenario. So it's really important that you look at our list, that you ask the questions of the representatives there. And we do have Mary White on the call, and I don't know if another lender has popped up here, but all of our lenders' contact information is on our website. So definitely check that out. You cannot own another home at the time of closing. Also, you cannot have assets more than or equivalent to 25% of the unsubsidized sale price of the home. Okay, next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier about the income qualifications, this is a breakdown of the income qualifications. We did not set this. This is set by HUD. This is a standard throughout the country, what 80% AMI is based on the HUD requirements. So a one-person household cannot make over $59,750,000 at the 80% AMI, okay? This chart that you're looking at shows 80% AMI and 115 AMI. Again, AMI stands for area median income. We have both of those listed. We do not at this present time have homes at this present time, November 14th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. We do not have any homes available in the 115 program. Okay, so all of the homes that we have right now are at the 80% AMI range. So take note of those numbers and the household size, okay? Next slide, please. What you see here is a chart that shows where we are in the city and surrounding areas, okay? Of course, we're in Richmond, we're in the Randolph area, South Side. Off to your right, bottom corner, you'll see a green circle that says Ettrick. Ettrick is on the line of Petersburg and Chesterfield County. It is in the area of VSU, Virginia State University. We are very glad that we are starting a subdivision there, a 10-home subdivision, all one level, 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes that we broke ground on last year. Now, we do have a waiting list for that. So there are only 10 homes there, and most of those, while we have not confirmed any of the buyers to date, we do have a waiting list for that. So I wanted to share that with you guys as well. But we do have some other things, big things happening in 2024 that we would love you to keep your ears and eyes open for. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit more about how the program works. So we are going to revisit ground lease and what that actually means, okay? So the program is basically centered and shaped around the ground lease, and we'll talk about some of the basics around that. So the ground lease is a legal document, and that document restricts the price that the home can be resold and ensures that the home remains affordable. Again, that's based on AMI for at least 99 years. That's intended to go beyond your life and probably that of your children. Herein lies where we talk about that legacy. Someone mentioned in the chat wanting to leave something for your grands. This is a way that that happens, right? This is fully inheritable. Again, this is how the legacy starts. Your home can be passed down to anyone via your will or heirs by state law. We offer at the time of closing, actually you'll be working on it a little bit before closing, we offer a service to help you with your will. You'll be getting this new huge asset of a home. So that is a free service that we offer to people through our program, is to help you with a will. Okay, so if your heirs choose to live in the home as their full-time residence, they will either continue on that current ground lease that you started when you purchased the home, or they may have the option of starting a new ground lease that would restart the 99-year ground lease. If your heirs don't want to live in the house, they can sell it and get the same proceeds from the sale as they would have if you had sold the house before you pass away. Okay, the ground lease fee is $100. That's $100 annually. And you will be invoiced directly from us 4 times a year. So you can pay it in $25 increments. You also have the option to just pay the $100 upfront as well. Again, this is how the properties are kept affordable, because you're paying the $100 ground lease a year versus purchasing the home and the land. Now, the board of directors can raise the ground lease fee any year ending in a 0 and a 5, but they are limited and restricted in how much they can increase it. They are only allowed to increase it by the same rate as the increase in the consumer price index, and it can never exceed $250 a year. To date, it's always been $99, FYI. Okay. If you look at the chat, and we will answer questions, but I just wanted you all to acknowledge one of our lenders on the call that spoke earlier, Mary White, and also our realtor, Jen Cox, who would also love to work with you. Next slide, please. So our board, you heard me mention the board earlier, but our board is made up of 1/3 community members, 1/3 current homeowners, and 1/3 public members. Okay. The only time that really, as a homeowner, and we do encourage you to participate. If you purchase a home through us, we encourage your participation with the board to become a member of the board. The only time as a homeowner, for the most part, that you may have to bring something to the board is if there are some renovations that you want to make. Renovations do have to go through the board. But other than that, our board serves to serve you all as homeowners. Next slide, please. Okay. So let's talk about some of the things, additional things that make home ownership through the CLT unique, okay? It must be your primary residence. I repeat, it must be your primary residence. For the people in the back, it must be your primary residence, okay? So for example, let's say you met someone and you decided to move in with them. You would need to sell your MWCLT home so that it's an opportunity for another family. Again, the goal of this program is to have one hand up where, you know, the program is helping pull you into home ownership, but also as a homeowner, you have one hand down, pulling the next person into the program for another opportunity. Okay, so you can't turn it. You also can't turn your MWCLT home into an investment property, i.e. an Airbnb, or rent it out. There are exceptions to the rule made on a case-by-case basis by the board. Some examples of those are military deployment, or if there's a family situation that requires you to be out of your home for an extended period of time. All of those are situations that must be communicated with us, okay? As I mentioned before, renovations must be approved. You can move into your home, you can paint it whatever color you want to, change the hardware and the light fixtures. You can hang your TV, install shelving, you can put up a fence, and get a shed on skids, right? Those are things that you can definitely do. Renovations that require a permit from your local jurisdiction, like taking down a wall, putting up a deck, those are things that you need to communicate with us, and they need to be approved. And for several reasons. One, we just want to make sure that everything is done to the home is done at a particular standard and it's done well, and for safety, not just the safety for you and your family, but for families that are to come behind you. And also we want to make sure that the renovations are going to serve everyone well, okay? Now, you will build equity in your home. All right. That's what's also unique about purchasing through us. You will build equity in your home from your down payment, from your monthly mortgage payments, and your home's increase in value, which is, again, based on wages instead of the market. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next coming slides. Next slide, please. We are going to answer any questions that you may have. Please feel free to come off mute to do so, and we will check the chat as well. Jen, are you still on the line? I would love for you to tell us a little bit about this beautiful home that's on the screen.
Sure. This gorgeously renovated 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, almost 800 square feet with all the upgrades. As you can see here from the pictures, stainless steel appliances, has the open floor concept in the kitchen with the bar area, also has an eat-in kitchen and 2 nice size full front and back porches. This property sold for $168,000, and this home was rehabbed by Project Homes in partnership with Richmond Redevelopment Housing Authority.
And this home is in Carytown.
Yes, very important. Our first one in Carytown. Yes.
Our first one in Carytown. And Mary White worked with the homeowner on this particular home. Any questions?
I did join late due to I was at my job. I work from home, so I had to wait till I get off there to join. So I did miss like a lot of stuff. I don't know if it can get emailed over to me.
Yeah, so this session will be it is recorded. The session will be on our YouTube page.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any additional questions?
I'm seeing some questions that are related to kind of like the logistics of the application. So I don't want to take too much of everyone's time, but we are going to go into that pretty in depth later in the presentation. But just to quickly touch on those. So your family size does include all adults that are living in the house, and that includes roommates, dependents, everyone that is residing in the house.
I do have a question. Like, it's just me and my son. So it's always 2 bedrooms, but what if I wanted to do like a 3 or 4 bedroom? Is that optional when you only have 2 people in your family?
Thank you for asking that question. That's a question that we get a lot. But I know that there are some programs that go by how many heartbeats literally how many heartbeats are in the household. If there are 2 people, then it's just a 2-bedroom, or I shouldn't say just, but a 2-bedroom. There's an allotment based on the family size. It is not that way with us. Our program is based on the HUD standard in terms of the income in the household. But let's say we have a house that's 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms. As long as you meet the income requirement for that, you are eligible for that home. So we don't go by room size and family size. It really is your qualification with the HUD standard and with the lender. I hope that answered your question. Okay, so let's move on. We have several more things to. Great, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I just know when you apply for like Section 8 and housing and stuff, like they will like not approve you.
Right.
If they don't have the room, like if it's just, and I've been denied a lot for that due to it just being me and my son, but they only offering 3 and 4 bedrooms.
No, we don't operate by that same standard. For us, it really is if you are you work with your lender and you get qualified as we mentioned earlier for 150,000 or more, then if you wanted a 2-bedroom, if that was your desire, you could have it. And if you wanted a 3 and that was your desire, you can have it. We don't have those types of restrictions in our program at all.
Okay. And one last, do bankruptcy hurt you any? Because I did file bankruptcy. It's been a year now.
Okay, so I cannot, that's something that you want to speak to a lender about specifically. And I also encourage you to reach out to Jen Cox, our realtor, and her information is in the chat as well, just because I know that she knows of programs and things that may assist in that. And because that's a personal situation, you can reach out to me or to Jen directly, and we may be able to point you in the right direction around that as well. Okay.
Okay.
No problem. All right. So
yes, I have a question. How do you purchase the properties?
Us?
Yes.
Okay. So it's a loaded question.
Oh.
Sometimes properties are donated to us. And because we are also a nonprofit organization, we raise funds to be able to purchase and build homes as well. So we get homes in a few different ways, but for the most part, we are raising funds to be able to build, specifically our new builds, to build the homes as well. And then through the Richmond Land Bank that I discussed earlier, we're also giving properties that way as well. So different channels, but for the most part, even the subsidy that we put into the house is raised by grants. Subsidy meaning, if a house costs $300,000 to build, I'm just throwing out numbers there, then we put funds into those homes, grant funds that we are rigorously applying for to be able to sell those homes at an affordable rate. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So let's move on. If you could go to the next slide. And again, feel free to put your questions in the chat so that we can answer them. Elizabeth, would you like to take on this section?
Of course. Laura, were you going to say anything about the acquisition side?
Oh, no, I was just going to help elaborate if you needed any help.
Okay. So we're just going to mosey on here. I'm going to talk a bit about how home ownership, specifically through our program, the Community Land Trust model, compares to renting. And I'm sure, as you all know, when you go to pay rent, that rent payment is money that you do not get back when you move. And so this chart is just an example of a rent payment. And for an example, I used $1,200 a month. And then multiplying that by the number of months and years that you're hypothetically renting. And so for the purpose of this example, we're looking at, by about 5 years out, spending about $72,000 in rent alone, and that is money that you do not get back. However, with home ownership, you keep all of the equity that you earn by paying the loan principal with your monthly mortgage payments. And here, this is an amortization schedule, and this is true for any type of mortgage payment, not just through the Community Land Trust model. So for this example, we are looking at a home that is purchased January 1st of 2023 for $180,000 with a 3% down payment. And we chose this example because at the time, that was about how much a $1,200 payment would get you renting versus a mortgage payment. But after about the first year, that total amount that goes to the bank doesn't pay. You're going to pay that same amount every year. But what does change over time is the amount that goes into principal versus what goes into interest. And as you're paying down your principal, which is that amount borrowed from the bank, things really start to shift and more money goes into principal and less into interest. And things are getting a little chaotic over the past year with the interest rates, but hypothetically, the more that you pay towards your principal, that will knock off years off of your loan throughout the duration of your loan. So for the purpose of this example, just paying that same amount over 5 years, you actually accrue $14,709 of equity, but just by paying your loan on time, your monthly payment on time. And that is equity that you take with you when you sell your house, plus a few other things I'll get into in a little bit. But just another way of representing how your mortgage works is looking at that monthly payment of your interest versus your principal. So of that payment, at year 2, a majority of your money is going into interest, with about a quarter of it going into principal. But throughout the course of your mortgage, by year 15, about half of that is going into interest versus principal. And then by year 25, if you still have a mortgage, most of your money is going into principal with only a little bit of it going to interest. And so again, this concept is true for any mortgage, not just for our program. And so another part of your monthly payment is your escrow. And that is that comprises of the insurance and taxes that you're required to pay for your home. So usually those are fees that are due every 6 months, and they can be a pretty large sum. And the bank wants to make sure you pay your taxes and your insurance, because if you don't, you could lose your house. So instead of relying on those big lump sums, this money is divided into payments monthly that you pay a little bit at a time. So the bank will use your escrow account to pay the insurance company and then also the city or county where you live. Okay. And we're going to take a pause for questions, but first I'm going to allow Jen, if she is still here, to tell us a bit about one of our homes that sold this year.
Of course. This spacious home is located in the Blackwell community. It is 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. As you can see from the photos, the kitchen has all stainless steel appliances, hardwood flooring throughout. This property sold for I stand corrected. This particular property sold for $180,000. And yeah, so it's a brand new home. And this was also, the land was also donated through the land bank.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
Really quickly, I would also like to do a quick poll.
Yes.
This is just to help our kind of data, but if you wouldn't mind answering this poll for us, that would be great. It is about where you are interested in living and how many bedrooms your ideal house has. So please, while we're having these question sessions, go ahead and answer this poll.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
And while you all are answering that poll, just FYI, you may have seen this particular house in a few different places in Richmond. This is a typical, I guess, if you will. I think we have this house maybe times 3.
I think it's 3 places.
Yes,
Yeah,
3.
it's this place, 28th Street and Oakwood.
Yes.
It's definitely one of my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
How are we looking with that poll, Flora?
Pretty good. Got about 20 people who answered.
Awesome.
Any questions? Please feel free to come off mute or put your questions in the chat.
Yeah.
You probably already told this, but of course I have to ask again. Did you say you do the repairs on the houses once you purchase it, or the buyer does the repairs?
So a
Like the
little bit
roof,
of,
if anything happens with the roof, or if you need a new roof.
right. So of course, because the homes are new, something major like a roof or an HVAC system, things of that nature, should not be an issue as you move in. However, there is a warranty on the major appliances and the other makings, if you will, of the home. Okay, after that, yes, the homeowner does have some responsibilities with that as well. So it's a little bit of both, but there is a warranty on the major appliances in the home.
Okay.
And I can move on because I know we do touch on this in the next section. And if anyone has any other questions, please feel free.
So Chelsea, we're going to get to that question. What do you recommend as a first step to home buying through the MWCLT program? You're 5 steps ahead of us. So we'll definitely answer that question in detail.
Yes.
You want to move on, Elizabeth?
Yes, I'm going to move on to talking about taxes, which I know is everyone's favorite subject. But what is really awesome about our program is because Maggie Walker Community Land Trust also operates as the land bank for Richmond, Chesterfield, and Henrico County. The land is tax exempt, and that's through some state legislation. So because CLT homeowners cannot be taxed on the full market value of their home, they can only be taxed on what they can sell their home for, according to the ground lease. And so that's another marker of affordability. And that is particularly helpful in times like this where there's a really high real estate market. So you will pay taxes on your house, on the improvements, but not on the land. Maintenance. So you are responsible for the upkeep of your land. And I know sometimes people can kind of get upset about this because you are leasing the land, but you are still responsible for mowing the lawn, taking care of dead trees, anything within reason. We expect you to take care of. And then any kind of necessary maintenance, such as fixing broken appliances, leaks, broken windows, etc., those are your responsibility. But I will just say we do help folks that need assistance finding these things, or also in addition, we can point you in direction for if there happens to be a financial assistance for major repairs. So what happens when you go to sell your home? So this is where you really want to pay attention for our example of the resale formula, because this is really what differs from the traditional market. So when you go to sell your home, you are entitled to get back any cash equity that you put on your house, so any down payment, your earned equity. So back to my previous section that refers to the principal that you made by just making your monthly mortgage payment. And then what's really different about our program is that you earn equity based on your home's increase in value. And that is based on the increase in area median income. But over the time that you're in your home, it is not based on the market. And that is how our homes remain permanently affordable to buyers in the future. And I'll go into kind of an example of how this works. This is one of our CLT homes that was sold in the Randolph neighborhood. And this home appraised for $261,200 on the open market. But when we sold this home to our program members, the price that we were able to get it down to was $180,000. So when this home buyer purchased, not only was it a lower price, but they had lower monthly payments. They borrowed less from their lender, and they had a lower down payment than they would have if they purchased this home on the traditional market. So when we're looking at the resale process, we start with the original sales price, and then we'll look at the increase in the area median income while you have owned that home. And so for the home on the last slide, when that home was purchased, the area median income was $83,000. And when they go to sell the home, we're estimating that the area median income increases to about $90,200, which on average is about a 2% increase per year. And so over about 5 years that this person has been living in this home, hypothetically, the AMI would increase by about $7,000 or 8.41%. So how we get the earned equity based on the area median income number is by multiplying the sales price by 8.41%, which is $14,580. And so that is the amount of equity that is earned by the increase in value based on wages. So when going to sell, that is the equity that one would walk away with, plus any down payment to the house, and plus any principal earned by just paying monthly mortgage payments. And just to throw this out there, this is not been the case. If the area median income happens to decrease for any reason, you will not lose money. So you will be able to sell your home at least for what you purchased it for in an absolute worst case scenario. Although we hope that would never be the case. So as a reminder, this is an example of that amortization schedule before, where after residing in this house and just paying your monthly mortgage payment, the homeowner has accrued $16,225 just by making the monthly mortgage payment. So when you go to sell your home, and let's say you're selling after 5 years, which is kind of the average time spent in a home, especially for first-time home buyers, you would accrue $16,225 of earned equity just by making those monthly mortgage payments, and then $14,580 based on the increase in value of the home. That's based on wages, not the market. And then that would be a total of $30,805 in equity. And when we compare that to my very first slide in the beginning, when we're looking at renting versus home ownership, instead of spending about $72,000 renting, you have accrued, that number is actually incorrect, $30,805 in equity. So what makes our program unique is that this model makes it possible for future home buyers who may be in the same economic situation that you are in right now to purchase a home moving forward. So once you would go to sell your home, we create the new base price for a future home buyer based on that number. So if we take that original sales price and then tack on the increase in value of the home, this home would resell for $194, or sorry, $194,580. And so that's that future resale price that the next family could be able to purchase the home. And when we're looking at just how extreme the housing market has become, especially in the past 3 years, that's really making a difference for a lot of buyers. Okay, and I'm going to have space for more questions, but first I would like Jen to tell us about this home in Churchill.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. This home is a two-bedroom, two full bath home, sold for $190,000. As Elizabeth mentioned, is over in the Churchill area. This particular home was in partnership with Project Homes, and also the land was donated from the land trust. We also, I'm sorry, just trying to get my notes together. So this home features stainless steel appliances in the kitchen, 2 full bathrooms, tall ceilings, hardwood flooring throughout, and also tile floors in the bathroom. There's also, as you can see from the photos, there's a full front porch. There's also a rear deck, and see there's upgraded light fixtures, there's ceiling fans, and recessed lighting throughout the house.
Thank you, Jen. Let's see, is there any are there any questions about what we went through in the past section? I will keep moving and we can come back. There's going to be much more time to ask questions. Right now, we're going to get into the application process. Where I'm going to go over, I know someone asked specifically, how do I get started? Well, congratulations. The first step is to attend our info session. So congratulations. We recommend the next step. And again, these are just guidelines. These are not firm directions. You can kind of follow them as where you are in your home ownership journey. But what we do recommend is to reach out to one of our Maggie Walker approved lenders early in the process, because they can help you determine what you may be eligible for in terms of your pre-qualification for your mortgage. So if you're not eligible, they can let you know kind of how to what to work on, what you may get a sense of what you need to work on. And then if you are approved, then you already will have that documentation, your income docs pretty ready and able to submit to us, which is step number 3, which is to submit our application and your income documents. And again, to be eligible for our program, you do need to meet our income requirements, and I'll go in depth in a bit on what specific documents are required. And then we do require you to attend a HUD approved training class and to submit your certificate. And so this is, there are a few options. I'll go into detail about what those options are. And this is for us. And then also a lot of funding requires that you take a HUD homeowner education class. So that's a good thing. If you're serious about this and you want to get started, we do require that class. And then it is required by a lot of other folks as well. And then once you have all your documents submitted, you'll be in our applicant pool, which is our group, sort of similar to a wait list, but not first come, first serve. It's everyone who is eligible to purchase one of our homes. And then you will receive notification when homes come available. And then you will submit a contract with your realtor and resubmit any necessary documents. You'll likely have a contract signing appointment with staff and our realtor. Our contracts are a bit different than traditional market because of our community land trust model. And then one of the other important pieces is to meet with an attorney to go over the ground lease. So before you close, you will meet with one of our pro bono attorneys that reviews the ground lease in depth, and we really want to make sure that you know what you are getting yourselves into. And if you are not, you thought you might be interested in our program, but something rubs you the wrong way, we do allow you to no longer do it. But that's through this meeting with our pro bono attorneys. I will get into the buyer prioritization policy in the next slide, I believe, and then move into your new home.
So let me add to that while you're moving on to the next slide,
Okay.
Elizabeth. A few things. One, and Chelsea, I hope that answered your question about what the next steps are. You guys you're here, you can check the box that you came to an info session. Elizabeth also mentioned a HUD approved program, and we'll give you some places that you can attend that. The reason that I wanted to mention that is maybe you're not ready right now. Maybe there's some things that you want to work on. We still encourage you to take that HUD approved class, regardless of where you take it, as long as it is approved. That certification lasts for 2 years. Okay, so we really strongly encourage you. When Elizabeth mentioned, you don't have to do everything step by step. One of the other things that you can go ahead and do, even if you're not ready right there, is to go ahead and take that class so that you can get that out the way and also prepare you. That's going to set you up for any funding sources, grant opportunities that may be out there. So you want to go ahead and get that out the way. The other thing that I wanted to mention really quickly is that, and I mentioned it earlier, you won't find our homes on the other websites, right? And the reason for that is that we introduce our homes to the wait list first, to the applicant pool. We use applicant pool and wait list interchangeably, and it's not numbered. So someone earlier mentioned how some of like the housing authorities and programs do things. I know that they use a wait list and you're given a number. For us, and Elizabeth is going to talk about our buyer prioritization policy, but it's good for you to get in the applicant pool. And the way that you get in the applicant pool is to have a completed application with us. When that happens, as Elizabeth mentioned, you'll get an email that'll tell you house at 123 Alphabet Street is available. So you won't find house 123 on Alphabet Street on some of the other websites because it stays with the applicant pool unless someone from the applicant pool is not interested. Very seldom does that happen. Okay, so I want to stress to you the importance of getting your class in, whether you use us, go through the Community Land Trust or some other organization like Project Homes or Habitat. Go ahead and take your class. Ultimately, we want to support you in your home ownership journey, regardless if it's with us, okay? So make sure you get that home ownership class in. And again, if you want to go through us, or even if you're just casting a net wide, go ahead and complete the application so that you can start getting the emails of the homes as they become available. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes. Let's see, would Flora or April be able to put links to the home and Virginia housing classes? Let's see, I'll go into
and the policy.
1 second.
Yes, and the buyer prioritization policy.
Thank you, Flora.
So this is a list of our lenders. And again, these are our our preferred lenders that we work with who have closed MWCLT homes. You must be pre-approved for a conventional loan. So FHA loans do not lend to community land trust properties. We require a conventional loan, and that's because of the bank's perceived risk of lending to community land trusts. Hopefully that will change in the future, but at this point, you are required to have a conventional loan. Okay, so again, that number, the minimum is for $150,000. Okay, so congrats again for completing the first step of this info session. Please stay on until the end so we can record that you were all here. let's see here, sorry. So when you go to submit your income documents, this is all on our website, but just to reiterate here, we require a pretty extensive amount of documentation, and that is because of the income requirements that we must adhere to. So in order to income verify you for our program, we need 3 months of your latest pay stubs and or benefit statements, and that is for each household member over the age of 18, unless you are a full-time student. We need 6 months of bank statements for all accounts for all adults. And then the 2 most recent federal tax returns and matching W-2s or 1099s. And then we need any record of assets that are over $5,000. And so we also, again, what Candace mentioned, this HUD-approved home education certificate. So there are a few options. So I would say a majority of our applicants use Home of Virginia, which is Housing Opportunities Made Equal, or Virginia Housing. And also Southside Community Housing Development Corporation is another option that some of our applicants use for this homebuyer education course. And then you are required, so once you complete this course through any of these partners, you will receive a certificate, and we need a copy of that certificate to confirm that you were attended that class. And then once you have all of these requirements, you will receive a confirmation or denial email from us. As long as you are not over income and you have all of your documents submitted, you'll be confirmed into our pool. We don't deny people for, it's not like an application that you would get denied for if you don't qualify, if that makes sense. And then enter the applicant pool. So I'm going to touch base a bit on some tips for funding and grant opportunities. So a number, I'd say majority of our home buyers do find themselves eligible for down payment assistance, as well as like additional grant opportunities as they are available. So the Housing Opportunities Made Equal organization oftentimes has down payment assistance availability. And I can't promise what they have or what they don't have, but oftentimes our buyers will be referred to us through Home, or we refer people to Home, kind of one of our major partners, because they provide home ownership counseling as well as access to any kind of funding that may be available. And that would be funding to help with down payment assistance for closing. Another opportunity is the VITA Match program that is with Southside Community Development and Housing Corporation. And this is a savings match program that they, I believe you would need to apply pretty early in the year because their funds run out, but I don't know exactly what their situation is at this moment, but they're a great partner, and this is a great program where a lot of our buyers have participated in the past, where for a certain amount of money that you save, they will match it for your down payment and home buying closing cost assistance. And then a lot of times your lender may have additional grant opportunities available. And then this is just in here because I didn't want to forget, but our process tends to take a little bit longer than traditional closing on the market because of a lot of the grant opportunities that our buyers use. So if you're using grant opportunities, we do want to make it clear that your closing could take a little bit longer than 30 days. So we estimate at least 45 plus more if you are working with any kind of grant funding. So let's see here. Some more next steps. I think this slide kind of goes into what I was talking a lot about in the past slides. But again, our lender's information can be found on our website. Our application can be found on our website or in the office, or you can email any of us for a copy of the application. All of your documentation's needed. That's written on the application, but that includes your income documents, your pre-qualification letter, and your home buyer education certificate. And to submit your application to us, you can scan it to us, the paper copy. You can email it to us. You are also able to mail it or drop it off in our office, which is at 205 North Robinson Street in Richmond. We're really close to the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts in the fan. I realized we didn't talk about the fire prioritization policy, but Candace, would you like to
Sure.
walk us through that?
Yeah, there is a link in the chat, and it's also listed on our website. So I'll give you the instances where the buyer prioritization policy would be applicable. We haven't had to use it a whole lot of times, but it's definitely something that we implement in those times where we have more than one applicant for a home. Okay, so if we have more than one person interested in the home, then we use this policy to make the decision of who gets the home. It's a little bit different than most programs where most are first come, first serve, and whatever other standards that some of the agencies use to qualify someone or to determine who would get that home if there's more than one applicant. The other thing is we are not like the traditional market in terms of bidding wars. The price is the price. You can't, put more on the house in order to get it, which is why we've implemented the buyer prioritization policy. It is a point system, and it only comes into play when there are two or more applicants, as I mentioned, interested in the same home. So I'll give you a few of the categories that would provide that homeowner with another point. So if the applicant or the prospective homeowner it's a single parent household or a first-time home buyer, or first-generation home buyer, if that person is at risk of displacement, if they've lived or you lived in public housing in the past or currently, those are things that would give you an extra point towards being the person to get that home, if that makes sense. So we've listed the buyer prioritization policy for your review in the chat. As I mentioned, it is also on our website. Once you're approved, how long is your approval good for? Typically, well, it depends on, Kivani, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, it depends on which way you're referencing. Are you referencing approved with us or with your lender? With your lender, as April mentioned, it is typically 2 to 3 months. And because that document, and right now I'm referencing your pre-qualification letter, pre-approval letter rather, that is what we use as well. So we have people that have been in the applicant pool for a very long time, not because we haven't offered anything, but because maybe they want a specific area, maybe they're looking for something specific. And so those documents they have to be updated. It's not something that you have to keep turning into us every 3 months, but if it's something that you're interested in, your documents definitely need to be updated. I'm glad I answered your question, Kavani. Thank you. With the few minutes that we have left, are there any questions?
I want to really quickly run our final poll for the night, which is a quick question about whether you intend on submitting an application, followed by a few short quiz questions. This quiz is not being graded. It is not required. It is not part of your application. It is just so that we can see how well we did. So please answer those questions if you can. If not, don't worry about it. And please let us know your questions as well as Candace. Shamika asking, how do you sign up for the class? We will send you a follow-up email after this with links to all of the places that you can register for the class, for the HUD certified homeownership class. But those places are Home of Virginia, that's Housing Opportunities Made Equal of Virginia, Southside Community Development and Housing Corporation, and also Virginia Housing. So we'll make sure you get that information.
Let's see. There's a question about income limitations during applying and being approved. Oh, we didn't touch base on this, which thank you, Diana, for bringing this up. So you only need to be within those income limits at the time of your application and then under contract. But we really want you all to do well financially and have our program be a step for your personal financial journey. We do not at all check in to see if you're still in the income limits a few years down the road. So I hope that answers the question, but we don't continually check in on your financial situation or for that. The only thing that you are required to do is to reside in your house full time. So no Airbnb-ing, no renting it out. That is the only thing that there are probably some other things too, but the major.
There are some other things, but to your
Sorry,
point,
it's been a long day.
You're right. You're right. To your point, I'm glad that answered your question, Diana. Yes, we definitely want you all to thrive. That is the goal here. But there are restrictions in place because of the ground lease as well.
Yes. Yes.
Not around how much you earn, just around how you manage the property.
Yes.
Any additional questions?
I will say, for anyone who's interested, we do have 2 homes available currently. Flora, are you able to share the 1204.5 and 1208.5 with us?
1 second.
Thank you. Yeah, we have 2 homes that are excuse me, still available currently, and they are with our partner organization, Project Homes. So the process is a little bit different, but if you are interested in either of these, please get in contact. Oh, I will go to the slide that has our contact.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Sorry about that. And also, I also wanted to say one of our team members couldn't be here tonight because she's in class, but our teammate Leah Coltrane is our very front end person who will be available to answer any like application specific questions. So on our list here, the very last one, Leah, you're welcome to reach out to any of us, but Leah's really the one who can help you with the logistical questions of applying or getting an application or just kind of figuring out the first steps.
And just FYI, the links that Flora put into the chat are for the properties that are available. They are 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath homes on 19th Street in the Mosby part of Churchill.
Yes, and these links show 2 homes in each link, and one of them in each one is unavailable, but the ones that are available are the
Right.
half units.
Yes,
So.
I did this because of the pictures that
Oh
they gave
no,
us.
it's totally fine.
Right.
Otherwise, they would have
He
been.
had to.
And they're attached homes, so it's like
Yes, and they are attached homes. And let's see.
Any questions? Again, our information is here. If you have something personal that you want to reach out to me about, again, my email is there, Candace at MWCLT. Any questions about applications, please send your questions to Leah at MWCLT. And thank you for sharing that. So we have, I respect people's privacy, but we do have some home buyers on the call tonight that are in the process. And so I want to congratulate you guys publicly. I know I've done it privately, but I want to congratulate you publicly as well for not just being here tonight, but moving forward and not allowing anything to stand in your way towards home ownership. Last minute, any final questions? Okay. Well, we thank each of you for your time and being here tonight. Again,
oh, really quick. Sorry, I forgot about my quiz. Yes,
okay.
sorry, my bad.
No problem.
So about half of you guys are gonna apply right away. That's exciting. Some of you guys are gonna wait. Some maybe need some more information. No worries. So first quiz question, true or false, MWCLT homes are fully inheritable. They can be passed down to your heirs regardless of income as long as they will use the property as their primary residence. This is true. And 90% of you got that right. So good job there. It is a home that you will own fee simple, except for the land. That is the only thing. What equity will you get back when you sell your MWCLT home? Your down payment, the loan principal you paid off through your monthly mortgage payments, your home's increase in value, or all of the above? The answer is all of the above. All of that stuff is equity, and that is equity that you get as a homeowner. And that's wealth. You know, that's your nest egg. And finally, how do MWCLT homes increase in value? Based on the market rate appraisal, based on the increase in the Richmond area median income, or they do not increase in value? And the answer is, of course, based on the increase in the Richmond area median income. The market rate appraisals, those are the ones that, you know, get your homes up into 400,000, 500,000, 600,000, however much homes are going for these days. And that's crazy. And that doesn't help anyone, except for, I guess, people who already own homes and don't want other people to own homes. And so instead, the homes increase based on the values of the homes increase based on the average income in the Richmond region, which increases at a much steadier, more predictable rate, although it has been going up crazy for the past couple of years, but it's not nearly as crazy as the housing market, which is why we do that. So yeah, thank you guys.
Well, happy holidays to each of you with all of the holidays coming up. This is our last session of the year. If you have any other questions, again, our information is there. This will be on our YouTube channel as it is with all of our info sessions. You can use that as a resource as well. With that being said, good night to each of you, and thanks again for being here.